Good evening. The Methanol Institute is proud to be speaking with Dr. V.K. Saraswat from the National Institute for Transforming India, otherwise known as NITI Aayog, in this digital fireside chat to discuss India's methanol economy aspirations. So just a brief overview, India has been on a path to establish a domestic methanol economy where conventional fuels can be replaced by methanol to a certain extent in applications like cooking, power generation, marine transport, and land transport. And methanol is strategic to India in some ways as an energy product because it can be produced domestically through indigenous resources, which reduces the country's reliance on imported energy products. So definitely it has its merits, and the government of India has been working in the last 4 to 5 years on developing this methanol economy. So the purpose of today's fireside chat with Dr. Saraswat would be to discuss the state of development of the methanol economy in India and what the future holds for the methanol in India in the coming years. My name is Tim. I'm from the Methanol Institute. I'm the manager for government relations and business development. I cover Asia and Middle East, and I'm from and the Methanol Institute is the global trade association for the methanol industry. So without further ado, I would like to give a short introduction to Dr. Saraswat. Honestly, I think for most of us, we don't really need an introduction to Dr. Saraswat because Dr. Saraswat is known pretty much throughout India when it comes to methanol. He comes out in every conversation that I have when it has to do with methanol. But I'll still try to attempt to give a short summary of his illustrious career and give a short introduction to him before we go into the questions that we have for Dr. Saraswat today. So first and foremost, Dr. Saraswat, I believe from your CV that you do identify as a scientist first in research, innovation, and technology. During his long-span career and illustrious career also, he has led many academic and government organizations on research and development work in different sectors, two of which are defense and energy. And currently, he is a member of NITI Aayog, where he leads the Methanol Economy mission to meet India's requirement of alternative fuels for energy and transport to reduce the country's crude oil imports. So, Dr. Saraswat, I would like to thank you today for taking the time to speak with us on this fireside chat. And I would also like to recognize that this chat is very timely right now as NITI Aayog and the Methanol Institute work to renew our statement of intent for our continued collaboration on India's methanol economy. So without further ado, Dr. Saraswat, I would like to jump into some of the questions that we've prepared for you today. We'll start first by discussing India's methanol economy project from a macro perspective. And the first question would be, how far has the Indian government come along in developing a domestic methanol economy since 2016? And what do you think is the future of a methanol economy in India post-COVID?
Yeah, I think one question itself will cover the entire aspect of methanol economy in India. And as you would appreciate, we started working on methanol economy from September of 2016, when in collaboration with the Methanol Institute, we carried out an international seminar wherein we invited a large number of academicians, industry people to deliberate on what kind of strategy India should adopt for bringing methanol economy. Our main objective of methanol economy was to reduce our import of fossil fuels, which is predominantly for energy and mobility sector, and also to have control on emissions, which have been worrying us, so that we can meet the promises which we had made in the COP15, where we had said that we will reduce our emissions to a certain level as compared to by 2030. So this was the objective, and that was a very good seminar, and we got some very good insights. Based on that, we started a program of developing all the three aspects of methanol economy. That is how to produce methanol, because although we had available infrastructure for production of methanol in the but basically it was being done using the natural gas, and the whole purpose was to use methanol for fertilizers basically. But in this particular case, when we looked at, we found that India has a huge coal reserve. and India should leverage the coal reserves available. And hence we started R&D projects to develop the production of methanol using the coal resources. And in that respect, some of the companies like Thermex Limited and Bharat Heavy Electricals, they took the initiative, and today we have 2 pilot plants of the capacity of 1 ton per day kind of a thing in the advanced stage of research and development. And I'm sure had this pandemic not come, we would be by this time producing it. But because of the pandemic, I think there has been some delay. But I'm sure by early next year, we will be kicking up with these 2 plants and solving all the problems associated with the gasification of high ash content coal and the process of synthesizing methanol from the syngas, and even the process of cleaning the syngas and compressing the syngas distillation. All the processes now are being developed indigenously. All the catalysts are being developed indigenously. So there's a huge push. In addition to that, for the production of methanol at large scale, one of our major coal producing organization called Coal India is going to set up a plant at Dankuni, almost about 3,000 tons per day plant, which will be using again coal. Of course, it will not be of high ash content, it will be medium ash content coal, and we are quite hopeful that we will be in a position to set up this plant within about 2 to 2.5 years time. We already have a plant which is being set up today for manufacture and production of fertilizer at Talcher in Odisha. We have some excess syngas available there, so we are studying now whether that excess syngas can be made use of for production of methanol. So this is as far as the production of methanol is concerned. In addition to that, we have R&D programs for producing methanol from biomass, and which is being done today at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, as well as at Praj Industries, which are the 2 agencies looking at how to produce methanol using the biomass. I think the scale is becoming a major problem in the biomass plants, because otherwise it is not very competitive in terms of cost. And with the diminishing cost of methanol, because of the diminishing or the lowering of the natural gas, globally also the prices of the methanol have come down. So the competitiveness wise, we are actually going to lose out when you go on small scale biogas based methanol plants. So we are trying to evaluate that and see, but the pilot plants will certainly be operational. Regarding the use of methanol in the vehicle, notwithstanding that we are making use of the available resources in the country for methanol and also importing some of it, we have already done our homework on that, and today we have set out all the standards for blending 15% methanol in petroleum, and that is petrol, and what we call as the M15 program. Our Bureau of Indian Standards has worked out all the specifications for M15 as a fuel, and we have also worked out the combination of chemicals which will ensure that the methanol, with its all other problems of increasing the vapor pressure or having the octane number problem or the phase separation, all these problems, and corrosion. So we have now developed a mix of our own, which enables that it can be readily mixed with the petrol, and this program is in a very advanced stage today. Ministry of Road Transport has already made a gazette notification in this regard, so they are in a position to now say that the methanol with 15% addition to petrol can be made use of as far as this is concerned. We have our own Indian Oil Corporation, which did this work, R&D sector, did this work for creating the blend. And we had our own Automobile Research Association, which carried out the trials of M15 blend on 4-wheelers, 2-wheelers, and we came with the conclusion that we are able to get the required kind of emission reduction, and also we concluded that none of the commercial vehicles as they are being produced in India, whether they are the Maruti vehicles or the Samsung vehicles, do not require any change of component or subsystem till you run for almost about 50,000 kilometers. And only after 50,000 kilometers during a servicing cycle, one would be required to change some of the gaskets and maybe one or two elastomeric components. And those have been identified, and the industry has been communicated with respect to these requirements. So this has been done. Now, to launch this program, we are actually now taking it to northeast of our country. Why we are going to the northeast? Because we have a methanol production plant under the banner of Assam Petrochemicals, and they already produce 100 tons per day methanol for commercial application. So we are making use of that, and they are also augmenting the capacity of that plant to 600 tons per day. Again, that plant will be operational by early next year. It got delayed again because of the last 6 months we lost time on the pandemic. Otherwise, you would have this. So, government of Assam and others have taken a decision to roll out, in collaboration with Indian Oil Corporation, the M15 vehicles in the northeastern region. So that will be a major achievement as far as the use of M15 blend is concerned. And this is as far as mobility is concerned. In the cooking sector, we also did the same program in Assam Petrochemical. We tied up with Sweden, and they gave us the burner, the methanol burner, and we modified it to the Indian conditions, and then we ran a program for using methanol as a cooking fuel, and it was a grand success. And not only we gave it to some domestic users, but also we gave it to some industry users. For example, we had the burners for the tea drying, tea gardens in Assam. They are also using, instead of using LPG and others, they have started using methanol. So that has been a great success, the cooking thing. And even there, the standardization of the stove, the standardization of these, and the safety procedures, all of them have been now regulated, ensuring that we don't have a problem of any accident, and more and more users can make use of methanol as a cooking fuel, particularly in the remote areas where LPG supplies are also not very regular. Second point, which we ensured that the price of methanol, as it would be for cooking, will be cheaper than that of LPG if the subsidies are not provided on LPG. Unsubsidized LPG is costlier as compared to the methanol, even if we make the corrections for the relative differences in their calorific values. So that has been done, and we are now trying to work on what is called the commercial application of methanol as a fuel, cooking fuel, for hotels, restaurants, and some of the mass cooking centers. For example, there are some religious centers, spiritual centers, where they cook food for almost 5,000 people per day, and they were using LPG in a big way. So we have now switched over to methanol. We have developed, with the help of a company in Calcutta, Asman Combustion, and they are in a position to now make industrial burners which work on methanol. So to that extent, there has been significant progress as far as cooking is concerned. I think this covers what you are talking of, this question.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very comprehensive sort of breakdown of the development since 2016. I mean, I've been working with your government for the last couple of years, and it always is very interesting to be back in India to see all the developments that are happening, and they do happen quite fast, actually. I mean, every time I come back, there's something new, and there's a new project that's ongoing. So it's something that I wanted to ask, because you do. In your response to me, you did mention a couple of private organizations, academic organizations, and certainly since 2016, after the government embarked on its work on the methanol economy, there was significant interest from the private sector in India also. And I think this is a question for private sector individuals or companies that are interested to fulfill or to help the government materialize its or realize its vision of the methanol economy. Are there any kind of government incentives to sort of support those kind of private initiatives to support the government's work?
In fact, all the R&D activity which has been initiated under the Methanol Economy program has been supported by the government spending. The work in IIT Delhi and Thermex has been supported by government, and similarly the BHEL work for the pilot plant has been supported by the government. That is as far as the investment is concerned. As far as the policies are concerned, I think the Department of Road Transport has already promulgated the policy of blending M15, as I mentioned to you. So we have policy support, we have financial support. We are now looking for which the proposals are on the anvil for setting up large-scale coal to methanol production plant in the government sector, which I mentioned to you, the Coal India Dankuni plant, where Coal India, although it's a company, but it's a public limited company, it's a government company, so it will be making investment in setting up that kind of a plant. In short, I can say that government has been very, very supportive in providing funds as well as the policy framework for methanol economy. There has always been a question, and that is where I would request that the Methanol Institute should play a major role in answering some of the very difficult questions which are generally asked by the users as well as the policymakers. Number one, is methanol safe? Number two, how do you ensure that the methanol remains cost competitive vis-a-vis the other fuels? These are the two questions which are generally asked in a big way. If you see the kind of volatility in the prices of methanol are concerned, I have seen it in the last 2.5 years to 3 years, changing from $400 to $450 per ton to as low as less than $200 per ton today, when the gas prices have come down drastically. Now, this kind of a volatility of the prices of gas, of the methanol, and and also the same affects the prices of the crude and so on. We have a major problem of showing this competitiveness, and I need certainly some kind of a techno-commercial analysis coming in on a global platform using the expertise of the Methanol Institute to support my cause in India. That is one. Second thing is the issue of safety. In fact, despite all the papers which we have produced and explained to the users, explain to the scientists, explain to the industrialists that methanol is safer than petroleum in some cases, and hence you should not have any worry. But the stigma which is attached with methanol, that it is a poisonous item, it can cause death if it is inhaled beyond a certain level, has certainly some what is called retarding factors as far as methanol economy is concerned. I will give you an example. India followed the 1919 law, the law which was promulgated by Britishers in the British India in 1919 about the poisonous nature of methanol. And we continued to follow it till we got it changed as part of my Methanol Economy program. So that stigma which I'm talking of is so deep-rooted that it requires a wide publicity on all platforms to make sure that people do away with this kind of a cultural backlog.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think you raised up two key points down there, and maybe I'll just touch them very, very shortly. The first question is methanol safe? I think from an industry point of view, methanol is and always will be an industrial product, whether you use it as a petrochemical feedstock or if you use it as a fuel. So there must be proper handling guidelines in place for users of methanol, be it in their vehicles or in plants, etc. So MI does have a safe handling guidelines that we've published on a regular basis, which we would we would be very happy to share with Indian stakeholders as well as yourself, to sort of change this mindset about methanol being a dangerous product. Because firstly, I think first and foremost, we do need to recognize an industrial product does come with its own risk, and there are proper ways to handle it. And if those boxes are checked and ticked, you will not have major problems in terms of safety. On the second note, how do you maintain cost competitiveness? I think that's where I think that's also partly one of the reasons why India is also interested in methanol, right? Because there is going to be the potential of domestic production with indigenous resources, where the country is able to have a better control of pricing within the country with less exposure to global energy markets to a certain extent. I believe the way forward definitely is in alignment with the Make in India policy, where Indian companies and Indian institutions can own and produce domestic energy resources that would help bolster the energy security of the country. So I think one thing that I really wanted to ask also just now, because we were talking about COVID and how that has sort of slowed down the momentum in almost actually everything around the world. But what do you think are the plans what do you think the plans are gonna be like for the methanol economy post-COVID? Do you think there will be an increase in speed at which the methanol economy develops in India, or will it be still a progressive, step-by-step process after COVID?
Certainly, there is going to be impact on the progress of methanol economy, because we have now graduated to a level where we were hoping to make larger investments in setting up methanol production plants of large sizes so that it becomes cost competitive. And obviously, because of the fiscal constraints which are coming due to the pandemic, and the economy is having a downturn today, I am quite certain that the pace of setting up these plants will certainly get affected. This is why one prediction I'm making, while we are trying to see that this is done on a private-public partnership basis, so that there is government investment and the private investment together. But since the economy is in not so good shape, even the private investments will not be coming forward that easily. So we are looking for now agencies which are actually ready to do what is called build and operate. I had an interaction with the experts and the owners and engineers from the air products who have taken over Shell very recently, and when they came to India, they were ready to do that kind of a thing despite pandemic. So we are trying to find ways and means that the economic downturns which have taken place do not affect us in this big way. But certainly fiscal deficits will certainly come in the way of the progress of setting up these plants. That is one part which you have to understand. But there is a positive, landscape which is emerging. Because of the pandemic, the larger scale utilization of two-wheelers and four-wheelers, because people are now going to prefer personalized cars rather than sharing cars and things like that, or using public utilities like buses and trams and metros and all that. There will be a demand of petrol or diesel-driven vehicles. Of course, there is a major competition now emerging with the electric vehicles there again. So I personally believe that that's a good sign, and that good sign certainly will help us in promoting, for mobility at least, the use of methanol. So that will be a positive sign. I'm going to see that. But certainly, the third thing which is going to get affected is even some of my R&D programs, as I mentioned to you, got affected because of pandemic, and they will look up. Not there's no shortage of funds or anything. It was only because of the lockdowns and all that the progress was impeded. But now I think post-pandemic they will grow faster.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Dr. Saraswat. There's one thing that you touched on, which was production just now. I mean, India's aspiration to ramp up domestic methanol production. And I think I saw the news recently where the Ministry of Coal announced that in the auctioning off of coal blocks, they're going to encourage or provide incentives for the gasification of coal to hydrocarbons. Is this part also of the vision to materialize a certain element of the methanol economy vision of the government?
Yes. In fact, one of the major utilization of this scheme, which has been announced by the Ministry of Coal, and Coal India is the leading actor in that, is to convert coal to methanol and chemicals and fertilizers. And surface coal gasification is one of the technologies which is being promoted in a big way. Fortunately, the R&D which we have done so far is all on surface coal gasification and also on typical ash content bearing coals of India. And we have succeeded in that. And even some of the other companies from outside, and the foreign companies, they are also now apt in handling the gasification of high ash content coal. For example, Air Products mentioned to us that shell-based technologies, they will be in a position to do the gasification up to about 30% of ash content coal and so on. And they also have done a couple of cases in a couple of plants in China. So we feel that technologically there may not be any problem, and it's a question of now bringing in the necessary resources and setting up these plants under the scheme which has been announced by the Ministry of Coal, which is going to be a major initiative as far as the methanol economy is concerned. And you will also appreciate that post-pandemic, we have realized that there is a huge problem of supply chain for the key resource materials for the pharmaceuticals. And methanol being one of such chemicals which can be a KSM for large number of pharmaceutical APIs and so on. So producing methanol from coal is going to be one of our flagship program.
Thanks, Dr. Saraswat. Actually, I mean, just from my perspective, I think in the last couple of months since the pandemic happened, I've been having, I mean, most of my calls in a week, I would say 70% of that are from India. Most of my meetings are in India, and things are still moving on the private sector front. There's so much interest going there. And definitely we, through MI, would be happy to connect you with some of these private stakeholders who have indicated interest in all sorts of things, from methanol production to the utilization of methanol as a transport fuel. So one thing I wanted to move on to quite shortly is you mentioned M15 and the potential, I mean, the impending rollout of M15 in the country. But I understand the Minister of Road Transport and Highways is also interested in M100 buses and trucks. If there are companies in India currently who are interested in bringing that kind of technology or developing that kind of technology within the country, what would you propose be? What would your proposal to them be on the way forward to bringing these technologies to market?
We have a two-pronged approach as far as the introduction of methanol fueled buses are concerned. Initially, we wanted to work with the Gili and get some buses from Gili and put them into the northeastern sector, and that was the announcement which the Minister of Road Transport has made. But unfortunately, Gili could not convert those buses from a left-hand drive to right-hand drive because of the numbers which we were asking. Probably it was not very cost-effective for them, so that program got delayed. But we have now started, our second approach was to go for our own conversion of the diesel engines into the methanol engines, and that's a major program which we have initiated. Cummins engines we are trying to now, with the help of Kirloskar and others, we are trying to convert our own R&D with our own R&D efforts, and also in collaboration with some of the US companies which have done this kind of work. I'm not able to recollect the names now, but certainly it is possible that our own program of converting diesel engines on 100% methanol form will also be successful, maybe one and a half years, and that will allow us to convert the buses into methanol-driven buses. That is one action we have taken. In fact, the program to convert the diesel engines to run on M100 is also required for diesel generator sets, because we have in India large large number of diesel generator assets which are used for electricity generation in the standalone mode. So we would like to change all of them into methanol based systems, and that will be a major initiative. So but there is some work still pending there. Particularly, we have to modify the injector in, all the diesel engines have, today's diesel engines have what we call the common rail direct injection system, CRDI. So that CRDI injection system has to be modified to a methanol based system, and also whether it's a injection or direct injection, this little bit of research has to be done, and then we have to change the compression ratios to take advantage of the methanol's high octane number and things like that. So there's a bit of R&D which is on, and Kirloskar is one company which is helping us. Ashok Leyland is another company which has taken initiative in working with the American company to get this methanol diesel engines converted into methanol. So this is our area as far as the buses are concerned. But even today we are open. If any foreign company which is able to provide us some buses which are already working on methanol with right-hand drive, I'm sure we would like to import some of them and directly introduce in our market, so that we can create the necessary infrastructure for utilization of methanol in the civil sector.
Thanks, Dr. Saraswat. So I want to move on to another application. I believe we spoke about this the last time we met also, and that is inland waterway vessels. So I understand the government of India has this massive project under the National Waterways Act of 2016 to sort of increase logistics on inland waterways to improve connectivity from the coastal areas.
Your speech is getting interrupted. Can you repeat?
Sure, no problem. Can you hear me now?
We have an interruption. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'll repeat right now. So my question was that I understand that the government of India has undertaken a massive project under the National Waterways Act of 2016 to improve connectivity and logistics on the inland waterways of India, to improve connectivity between coastal to hinterland areas. And this project is quite massive. And I think even the Inland Waterway Authority of India had looked at methanol for a short while. But do you think that methanol as a strategic fuel is complementary to what is being proposed or what is being done under the National Waterways Act to improve connectivity? Do you see some kind of synergies down there?
Personally speaking, I'm of the view that the Inland Waterways Program of India should be exclusively run on methanol fuel. And we made a lot of attempts to modify one of the boats which was being manufactured by Cochin Shipyard to methanol with the help of some of the experts from Sweden. And unfortunately, after a lot of deliberation and discussion, we found that the cost of modification was probably prohibitively high, and it was not becoming very cost effective at that point in time. We have not given up on that yet. We would certainly like to have as many vessels as we could convert. There again, the crux of the matter is technology. And there are two parts of the technology. One is modifying the diesel engines, and most of these boats were actually designed using two of the Cummins engines. So now, since we are working on modification of Cummins engines of about 400 horsepower, I think we should be able to solve that problem. We are already working in some for the road transport. Now we are coming to the other part, and the other part is storage of methanol, supply and safety, and other fire protection systems and so on. Now that is one area which is not yet researched and developed in our country, and that is where we were taking help of the Swedish company. And if they are not coming forward with the kind of costs which are acceptable to us, then probably I will have to start an R&D program and solve this problem also, because it's not a very insurmountable technology problem. It can be certainly done. Having dealt with very hypergolic propellants in my rocket systems, which I use for missiles and others, I think doing for methanol, I see no reason why we can't do it. We can do it, but we wanted to cut short time, and we wanted to make it a key turnkey project. That's why we are given into that. But somehow we could not conclude the negotiations, and it fell through. That is a problem. But we are very keen that the inland waterways program is done on methanol.
Actually, Dr. Saraswat, since the last time we spoke till now, we have an update on that. But probably I'll take it up to you after this fireside chat. And we do actually have a company who has an office in India, who has voiced that they have the capabilities to work on methanol and marine vessels. And we are in preliminary discussions right now. But I would really like to introduce you to this company and introduce to you the team down there who has been working on this. The company was founded in Germany. They've got a lot of experience with converting engines to run on methanol, mostly automobile ICEs. But for them, I think they took a look at a vessel that is potentially going to be used for some kind of retrofit. And they said it's totally possible to run it on methanol, and they could probably provide the designs and the engineering work also. So that's something that I do want to follow up with you after this call, because there is a local technical know-how, and I think it would really benefit a program on the inland waterways if we were to look at this company to convert some of these vessels potentially. Moving on to something else.
If you can put us together, yes.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, we will do it right after this call. Actually, there's something else that I was working on this year, and I was quite invested in it, and it was the application of methanol in cook stoves. I understand in India there are many massive projects on bringing improved cook stoves, better fuels to households. And methanol was trialed in Assam. Actually, 350 cook stoves were given out, and the results were fairly positive. And I guess this is a question for myself as I try to figure out the market as a whole. India is a very vast country, and cuisines differ from north to south, east to west. But what are the particular regions, in your opinion, that should be prioritized in the promotion of methanol cook stoves?
I think India, we have, as I mentioned earlier, we should popularize and market methanol cook stoves in the northeastern region, remote areas of central India, where the supply of LPG has still not reached. We should also take it to tribal areas where again they are still using the firewood, and some parts of the Uttar Pradesh, our central land, where again the reach of LPG has not been very significant. And I am of the opinion that once you are in a position to demonstrate what is called the cost competitiveness of using methanol as a methanol cook stove for the cooking, I'm sure geographies will not make any difference. It's a question of popularizing it, making it cost competitive, demonstrating to the people that it is safe, and the customer is actually getting the benefit by using methanol cook stove in terms of the number of days when the methanol cook stove can provide the cooking medium as compared to LPG and so on. And another thing which is of great importance for us is that LPG today, about 60% of the LPG stock is of the import origin. So if I can popularize methanol, then I can stop this import, because using the methanol produced from coal gives us that kind of a self-reliance.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Saraswat. I mean, those are the list of questions that I've had today. I think MI and NITI Aayog, and with yourself, actually, personally, we've had a long and lasting collaboration in the last couple of years. And right now, we're still in the process of formalizing our collaboration in the next couple of years with a new statement of intent. after the expiry of the last one. And I guess maybe the last question that I did want to ask was, how do you see us collaborating as we move into this new phase of collaboration, or a new phase of relationship between our two organizations? Yeah, I think that was my question. What would you think would be the nature of this relationship, and how could we, as MI, better help NITI Aayog and the government of India with their Methanol Economy project?
In fact, I'm very happy with the way our collaboration has gone in the past. We have been benefited immensely by the inputs provided from time to time by Methanol Institute. Actually, today I'm looking forward to Methanol Institute for solving one of my major problems, because as I mentioned to you, we are using coal as a feedstock for producing methanol. And if you use coal as a feedstock, you generate a huge quantity of carbon dioxide, which is not good for the environment. So we want to recycle that CO2 to produce methanol again. And I'm looking for good technology support for converting CO2 to methanol using solar hydrogen. That means hydrogen produced from the solar energy, which will be cheaper and cleaner, and that CO2 plus hydrogen technology. If Methanol Institute can provide us the necessary connections with the developers of this technology, or if they themselves have the technology know-how, they can pass it on to us, then we will do our experiments and set up the thing. But that will go in a long way, because then I'll ensure that the methanol production is carbon neutral. And I think in our new phase of relationship, which is going to emerge after we sign the agreement, we have many other activities which we would be working together. One of them is the CO2 plus hydrogen to produce methanol. Second one is we have a major program to use methanol as an automobile fuel 100% using a fuel cell. That means methanol to be reformed to hydrogen. And methanol reformer of a size and weight which can go into a mid-size or a small size car is what we are looking for. While we have developed our own methanol reformer today, which is suitable for static applications in terms of weight and volume, but we still need to reduce the size both in terms of weight and volume. And if Methanol Institute can support us with technology inputs in that area, and also anybody who has developed this kind of a product and would be willing to work with us either on a collaborative mode or in a joint venture in my country, because once I can get this reformer, and fuel cell production is already available in my country, the drive systems are available because we are into the e-vehicle program in a big way. I see no reason why I can't promote a methanol based car which has no problems of charging, which has no problem of storage of the fuel, and so on, and popularize this as one of our flagship programs. So these small technology blocks, if together we can solve, I'm sure world over we can achieve the kind of utilization of methanol as a fuel for a variety of applications. So let's crack these problems together, and that will be part of our collaboration under this extended program.
Thank you, Dr. Saraswat. Yeah, certainly. I think there are a lot of interesting points that you raised on there, and I'll take some of these points of view offline. And after this call, I think we have some solutions that we could probably be speaking about. And once again, I would really like to thank you for taking the time to have this fireside chat with us. It's very good to see you, although not in person. I really do hope that we can meet in person at some point again to discuss some of all these issues that I've sent you through this list of questions in your office once again. So I thank you once again, really, for taking the time to speak to us. And
thank you. It was nice to talk to you. It was good.
Thank you, Dr. Saraswat. So thank you so much. That's it for today. I think this will be very beneficial for the stakeholders in India to understand what's going on at the government level, but also all the different projects that you're doing with your private sector stakeholders. So thank you once again. I'll see you soon, hopefully. Yeah.
Thank you. Goodbye.